All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's I guess it's kind of accepted as fact when people say that millennials are not starting up their own businesses. They have no desire to be entrepreneurs. They're not going into that line of business. And our next guest says that that's not necessarily true. Joining us now is Bernie Schroeder, author of Fail Fast or Win Big. There it is on the screen, the startup plan for starting now. He's also director of programs at the Lavin the Lavin Entrepreneurship Center at San Diego State University. All right, Bernie. So, so many people have said, and it's kind of been, become accepted as business gospel that, there are less and less people starting their own businesses, and especially the younger people, they just aren't doing it. You say what?
Well, I don't necessarily agree with it. I mean, being on a college campus, you kind of are in the eye of the storm. And I'm also mentoring about 20 millennial-founded companies. I think everything lags, Steve. It's funny how, when you read a pithy article in a good publication, it always seems to be about 2 or 3 years behind or slightly ahead of what's actually happening. And I think that's what's happening here. I think these journal articles about millennials not starting companies is simply not true.
All right, so you're there obviously, but I mean, are you tainted or slanted in a way because you are there at the Entrepreneurship Center in San Diego State University? So everyone around you is interested in entrepreneurship.
Well, you could say yes and no. I mean, the other thing I could say is I'm a little bit older than a millennial, and I've come out of Silicon Valley, and so I don't think I'm that tainted. Because I just don't roll over and eat the dog food either. I really check it out. I'm really immersed in the ecosystem of several cities, Austin being one, San Diego being another. I travel quite a bit. What I'm seeing is these millennials are quietly either building up skill sets and working part-time in startups or working at night or on weekends, and then some are just all in right away. And so I see them in the ecosystem. I think the rest of the world is going to see them in about 2 to 3 years, and I think that's the lag effect we're seeing.
All right, now that's great. I mean, that's very encouraging news. Absolutely, but what about the pitfalls and the roadblocks and the the Obamacare and the red tape and the regulations? I mean, how is it going to get easier? Are these millennials going to find it that so discouraging once they do start out, or are they well aware of all that going in?
You know what's so cool about the millennials is they don't understand any of that. And it's kind of fascinating when you hang out with 22 to 28-year-olds, let's say. This whole notion of Obamacare, the whole notion of regulations, this and that, they don't really understand the rules, and it's awesome. It's why Uber's running amok across the planet, now running into legal issues across, different countries. They don't look at it that way, Steve. The way they look at it is, how can I create something now? How can I even just, have it make sense for me to pilot something, test something? They run into the regulations after the fact. I mean, this is not a generation that I would say is super prepared, to work. They're trying to figure it out. They don't come off the campus and go, oh, I want to work for IBM for 30 years. They're trying to figure out, okay, I'm coming off the campus. What can I do to gain skills? What can I do to make enough money to travel? Don't want to own a home, rent everything. And oh, by the way, I want to be my own boss. So how do I get there?
Yeah, no, well, that's a very rosy picture you paint. And you think that when push comes to shove and they do come head on and have to butt their heads against these regulations, they'll persevere for the most part?
I do, and I tell you, it's because of their enthusiasm and their attitude for life. This is a generationally changing group. I don't know if people are really paying attention to them other than a word. Some people say millennial, and I see a marketplace of 81 million, people by 2025 that's bigger than the baby boomer generation. And two things are going to happen. They're out there right now trying to figure it out, and they're also going to get inherited wealth from the boomers. So it's a perfect storm for them.
Yeah, no, well, look, I'm glad we had this conversation, Bernie. Good to talk to you again. Very encouraging. Always great to get good news on the business front, the economic front. Thank you very much, Bernie. Appreciate it. All right, folks, up next, it's the closing bell report. But first, as you well know by now, we've brought back our viewer call-in segment here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And we're going to do it, often. So if you love the show or you have a comment, I prefer, of course, that you comment on the issues of the day. Here's what you got to do. You got to get in touch with us in advance. And you email us at callsteve at newsmax.com. Again, that's call Steve at newsmax.com. We want to hear from you, but you got to reach out to us first, right here. Thank you very much.